A Misdiagnosis, by Patrick Grimm. Like a jonesing chain smoker engulfing one cigarette after another, or a junkie with a hollow vein to fill, Jewry has made mad consumption of the goods and wealth of others a way of life. They are a nation living off the goodwill of the rest of the world, and are wearing their welcome down rapidly with grindstone tactics. Jewry as a whole can now choose one of two roads. They can decide that the world is not enough, continue raping the countries they infest, and then kvetch about the return of anti-Semitism, or they can detach themselves from their numerous hosts, and choose honesty and peace with the world. These are the two options, juxtaposed side by side. Only one will be chosen. Choose life or death, the New Testament intones, because those are really the only choices available to every human being. Perhaps, as one thinker said, it is time that Jews stop acting like Jews and start behaving like human beings. Most human beings possess empathy, sympathy, compassion, and some warm feelings for their fellow creatures. This does not seem to be the case with much of the tribe. The ingrained bigotry of Judaic thinking is nowhere more apparent than in its daily dealings with the others. Market transactions are frequently dishonest, deals are brokered for the good of tribalism, and today's cultural Marxism denies humanity to all swaths of the human family, especially those of the lightest hue. Jewish creations choreograph ugliness, and most of their cultural gifts carry not one shred of human dignity. Dignity is a selective gift that the Jew chooses to narrow brush and brand onto himself and himself alone. This is bigotry, this is hatred, and it creates acrimony and division. It breeds resentment and guarantees future violence. It is now festering in the body politic, promising to rear its head at a later date, and likely in a monstrous way that the always planning Jews have not anticipated. It is the tried and true cycle of history, whether Jewish or non-Jewish history, unfolding. In fact, you can count on it. Anti-Jewish supremacist fighters have been telling us for years that many Jews really don't believe we are human beings. Some of us laughed and shook our heads, derisively accusing these folks of hyperbole and histrionic rhetoric. But now we are seeing that they were and are right. The Jewish art form of defamation and racism has caused our heads to snap in odd directions. Finally, we are wising up. Those Jews who truly believe themselves to be the master race really do carry nothing but loathing in their hearts for our traditions, our values, our mores, and our folkways. It is a fanatical hatred that few of us can ever fully comprehend, because it is so foreign to our basic natures. What contempt it must require to cause a human being to attempt to remake the world anew. This is what the Jewish spirit has tried to do. Hatched schemes, unresearched ideas passed off as scholarship and pseudoscience have been handed to us on silver media trays. They have been declared holy writ by those who run our institutions. When we at first recoiled, these Judaizers smirkingly assured us that this medicine was good for us. If we recoiled still further, we were swept into the dustbin built for non-persons. This is their modus operandi. This is how propaganda works. This is the price of crossing the Rubicon. Those of us with an activist frame of mind have attempted to rehabilitate this Jewish birth situation, to treat it as if it were alcoholism, drug addiction, or some other compulsion that, if abstained from for 30 days, can be beaten. We have looked for cure-alls, for panaceas, for bitter pills that will bring back health and equilibrium to both our societal mess and to those who are behind it. But we have been wrong in our diagnosis. Jewry's affliction is not that it has a dearth of goodwill. No, its affliction is that the goodwill only flows one way. Both our goodwill and Jewry's are only nourishing Jewry. That is the problem. Our naivety convinces us that this will save us, that this will placate the unquenchable thirst, the unremitting hunger, and the unsustainable dreams of Jewish supremacy. The Pollyannists among our fold believe that the beast can be gorged and finally satisfied. This is a flight of wishful thinking, tinged with self-deluding fantasy. No, the way of Jewish supremacy is an earthly damnation, a temporal slave state of the mind and body. How can you talk détente with someone who only knows the language of domination? How can you perfect and hone your language when that very language is so wholly controlled, when it is wielded so effectively by the masters of verbal sleight of hand, rhetorical pretzel-making, and Talmudic reasoning? It's about balancing all those tiny angels on the head of the pin. What is our problem, and why have we failed so utterly? Simple. We are very bad at diagnosis. We are trying to treat psychopathy with aspirin. We are attempting daily to modify ourselves and walk on eggshells, politically correcting our words and repackaging ourselves, when we don't even realize that in the eyes of the enemy, the fact that we breathe is what the conflict is all about in the first place. The Jewish persecution complex is not felt because we are persecutors, but because persecution is defined as our mere existence. Negotiate with that. Will Jewry choose life? I'm sorry, but they can't. It's not that they won't, they really can't. They are programmed genetically to progress along the road they have been racing willy-nilly down for a millennium or four. The fact is, they've been doing this for too damn long. It's been repeated so many times that it went and seeped into the hardwiring, into the DNA. So don't expect any Jewish personal growth to be forthcoming. After all, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Continue at http://newsfromthewest.blogspot.com. http://newsfromthewest.blogspot.com/search/label/A%20 Misdiagnosis